So let me share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can all see that. So this is indeed our AGM. Very quickly, I just want to kind of go through the steps that are going to make up the AGM. We're going to start off by talking a little bit about our constitution. Then we'll move on to talk about some reports from the committee that's about kind of what's happened this year. And then we'll go into the hustings, which is the main kind of event of the evening. Each candidate will have up to 4 minutes speech and 4 minutes question per candidate per position. I will give you a 1 minute warning towards the end of your time. But I know some people have sent me recordings to play, and that's absolutely fine. I will play those in your slot. But if you're doing it live, just do be aware of the time. I will give you that 1 minute recording. So, Constitution. We'll get started with that until for the first kind of couple of minutes. I think some more people are still arriving. The summary of the key changes, the bulk of what we've done is updated it to be compliant with the new Guild template. The Guild had some new rules that came in last year, at the end of last year, called Bylaw 7, that set out the ways that societies have to run. Part of that was that every society now has to have a constitution. Within Ufas, we've had a constitution for quite a long time, but most societies haven't. But we've had to take our old constitution and kind of update it onto the new constitution. We've also added Publicity Officer and removed HR Lead. Rest in peace, Dan. Not Dan, but Dan's role. And that is included in there, as well as the new role descriptions. We've also simplified the role descriptions, made them a bit more kind of compact, and removed some things that were kind of obsolete. And there's a few procedural changes, but they're not especially important. What we need you to do is at that link there, bit.ly/Ufas Constitution, you're able to see a document of the Constitution. Please have a read of it. And if you're happy, then please vote at www.exeterguild.org/societies/Ufas. And that's where you can vote. It's a poll for the Constitution, so you just vote in that poll there. And for the elections, then that is also in the same place, the same web link. Okay. It's quite weird sharing the screen. Okay. So, moving on, I'm not going to speak for very long because you don't want to listen to me any more than you have to. But what I just wanted to say a couple of things. It's been a year that I don't think any of us expected. I don't think anyone of us wanted, but ultimately that is what's happened. I just kind of want to take a minute to celebrate the things that we've done this year. And we had 163 members join Ufas. We had 21 weekly sessions run by our training leads. You don't quite realise how many of them there are until you find out there's 21 of them, as well as 8 other events. I've just put up some photos from one of the sessions that I enjoyed the most, which was Restart a Heart back in October, with some pictures of people doing CPR on mannequins. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you to the committee. Thank you to everyone who has helped out this year. I don't really have anything else to say, I'll be honest. We're going to have, as I think we put it in one of the emails, but we're going to have like a kind of social event in term 3, possibly in person. As of this morning, we got some stuff through from the Guild that we might be able to have an outdoor social event in the summer, a little bit like a picnicky style thing. That might be quite nice. And we're going to have some kind of roundup social event where we do some awards and a few more things like that, just because we felt that given the OGM's online, we don't really want to extend it any more than we need to. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. I'm sure I will talk for longer at that social event, but for now, I'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for turning up every week and continuing to support Ufas. I hope you've all enjoyed it, and I hope you all those of you who are still at Exeter will come back next year, hopefully to have some sessions in person, which would be really nice. And I really looking forward to hopefully coming back for one last Ufas session in person. Over to Jay.
Hi everyone, so this is the Treasurer's address. I am the Treasurer, or have been the Treasurer this year, and so as part of my address, I am just going to walk through the financial health of the society, and in so doing, summarize our activity this year, but more in terms of the finances. So the balance we had carried forward last year, as you can see there, is £1,278.44. Now, as a result of the rather unique year we've had, our expenditure looks a bit different, mainly due to the lack of any spending on events or things like that. So our only incomings this year were stash and product sales, which totaled £739.90. And then on that, we spent £600 on the actual products. Then this is where it gets a bit interesting. So at around this time last year, Callum successfully applied for an alumni annual fund grant of the tune of about £600 to buy some new first aid equipment, which unfortunately we haven't been able to use because of the online nature of things. So this included like some bags and like cleaning wipes, tough cuts, that sort of thing. But one of the big focuses of the project was buying some training cylinders. So those are like cylinders that don't have any gas in them, but you can use to demonstrate the attachments and how they might be used in the field. So the way that that works is that we received a promise from the annual fund that we go and buy this, and then they reimburse us. Unfortunately, due to the demand for oxygen cylinders due to COVID, we found it quite difficult and still haven't been able to get hold of any training cylinders because they're usually cylinders that have been decommissioned and then they poke a hole in the bottom so they no longer work but have all the attachments and stuff. So as a result, we've kind of been left out there having spent half of the money, which is the £563 on equipment, and have not yet been reimbursed, which is probably fine because we had a decent amount of reserve anyway. So that's what the cylinders there is ring fenced for. The printing and stationery, sort of stuff like business cards. I think there was a banner at the start of the year, that sort of thing. Donations, that was due to the lockdown card fundraiser that Jenny and Charlotte ran. And then miscellaneous £0. I don't know why I've put that. So also a note is that it's correct as of 17/03/21, which is not today. The more astute of you may have realized. That's because we're currently running a sale of stash, so it would be kind of misleading to include the income from that before we've actually placed the order from the supplier. I do encourage you to make this even more incorrect and mess with me by going and buying loads of stash. But yeah, so on to the important figures. The net total is £752.97 versus the stated balance of £770.89. The net total is what I got by comparing the balance carried forward with all the transactions this year. I might have missed something. Maybe the balance carried forward wasn't 100% exact, but £770 is what the guild says we have, so it's more or less an agreement. The expected stated balance is what we will have once we're able to reclaim that money from the annual fund. Unallocated balance is our stated balance minus the ring-fenced funds, which you can see over to the right there. And the expected unallocated balance is that plus the annual fund money and also taking away the ring fence of the cylinders, because obviously we would have to buy those and eliminate that before we could reclaim the annual fund money. So overall, we're in a good financial position as a society. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say about that.
Thank you very much, Jay. If you do have any questions about any of those financial details, feel free to get in touch with Jay. As a society, we don't charge a fee, as you know, so our money mainly does come from kind of grants and things like that. But this year, everything has fortunately stayed fairly constant throughout. Okay, I will pass it on to Jade to wrap up the student volunteering unit for this year.
So obviously my address is going to be very different, a bit like Callum this year. But My main message was thank you to all the volunteers. We currently have 41 volunteers in our units, and I think it's been such a difficult year for everyone. I know there's loads of volunteers in our unit that have never done a first aid event yet, and I know there's been so much patience and motivation, and I'm so thankful that all of you guys have been going on all these extra training courses and doing everything needed to support. So I know usually we kind of go through all the events we do, all the trainings that we've done. And well, obviously we can't really do this year because it's been a very different. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. And hopefully we'll be able to like volunteer on the vaccination program with also all the new volunteers we've recruited. So yeah, I just wanted to say thank you basically. And I'm sure we'll talk in more details during our awards night. And yes, my last thing I was going to say is thank you to our UMT, because I know it's been a very challenging year. Everything has changed in many ways. I think from all the extra training courses that people had to go on, like honestly, I don't think we had that many volunteers going on that many training courses in a year, like from care modules to vaccination programs. People have been going on event management courses, safeguarding, radio operator, logistic courses. So I think this year could be kind of summarized by a lot of training and a lot of admin changes and policies. But yeah. And I also wanted to say thank you for Katie Baker, who's our regional student volunteering lead, and Mary Backholder, who's our district manager, to be here tonight for our AGM. So if you want to just say hi or say something, you're more than welcome to. But yeah, thank you for attending.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Jade, for that lovely introduction. Yeah, I just kind of want to echo what Jade's already said. Thank you so much to all of you guys. Like, you know, we work in student volunteering because we love student volunteering. I came from student volunteering. You guys are amazing. You know, you do such a good job at supporting events, doing hours, you know, everything you do is very much appreciated. And so, you know, we're just happy to be here just to sort of support and to celebrate along with you guys. So yeah, thanks very much for all you do. Mary, I'm not sure if you wanted to just say hello as well.
Yeah, hi everybody. Just really to re-echo what Katie has said. It's been a very difficult year, strange for all of us, but you know, let's hope we're coming out the other end of it now and things will get a little bit back to as we expect them to be. I do appreciate all the hard work that you've done. I'm often heard saying to other people that in the southwest, without the Plymouth and the Exeter unit, we would really struggle to cover some of our events. So well done to you all, and please pass on my thanks to everyone.
Thank you very much, both. I think it's might just be, if you haven't met Katie or Mary before, Katie is the regional student volunteering lead. So she's part of the student team that supports all of our student volunteering units across the West region. And Mary is the district manager for Devon. So she supports and manages the whole of the volunteering activity across the district. Just for those of you who might not have heard those names before. Okay, so we will just take a short break then. And what we're just going to do is just review that constitution really quickly. And this is the chance, if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And it will just take a couple of minutes in case anyone has any questions before we move on to the hustings for this evening. And while we're doing that as well, I will just also share a link into the chat. That is the office forms link. So if you have questions during the hustings, if you can please submit it into that office forms there, and that will enable Jade and I to ask those questions. You can also stick your hand up and ask that as well if you want to ask it vocally, but it might just be a little bit more challenging if there's lots of people have questions. So feel free to submit them there. Did anyone have anything about the Constitution that they would like clarified? If there is, there isn't any kind of particularly significant changes there, it's mainly just a formatting change. But if there is anything, feel free to just drop me a message or drop me an email, and I'll be sure to answer any queries that you might have. Okay, So we will, I think, then get started. So the first position we have this evening is for president, and our candidates, we have one candidate, which is Jonathan Lane. Jono, if you want to, I believe you're making your speech live, so if you want to turn your camera and microphone on, and then you will have 4 minutes.
Yeah, I'm just going to do some logistics changes and sort with Phoebe so you can actually see me because I'm off to the side. Maybe I'm going to sit down here. There we go. You can all see me and hear me okay. We've had issues with the sound here.
The sound's working absolutely fine, Jono.
Perfect. Just kick it off whenever I'm ready. Business casual, thanks, Jay. Yeah, so hi guys. Hopefully most of you guys will recognise me from previous years in the society or sessions throughout this year. As Callum said, I'm Jonathan. Most people call me Jono. I'm a first year medical student here, but this is actually my 4th year at the university because I did a degree before. So I've been around for a while. I'll be looking at starting my 5th year in Ufas next year, which is quite a while. The reason I'm still here after 4 years or 5 years, I guess, I really enjoy it. Ufas has been an absolutely massive part of my undergrad time and is looking to be a pretty big part of my postgrad time. I've really genuinely enjoyed it. I've got such amazing memories. I've made such good friends, including the 2 people who sat behind me, who have to put up with me. Lots of fun in Ufas, and I just want to kind of keep that going. Why I want to be president, I've got lots of experience in it. I know kind of how the society runs. I think that there's not something in Ufas that I haven't tried at some point. I've been crazy enough to be convinced again by these 2 people to jump out of planes at various times, twice in fact, and all sorts of other things, training, bake sales, all sorts of stuff. I've been involved with a lot of it. I know how a lot of it works and I really enjoy it. So that's kind of why I want to be the president. I think that I can be really helpful for all of the functions. I think that we're looking at having a very new committee, which is absolutely great. And I'm really excited for what the year ahead involves for us. We're obviously looking at a very kind of new style of Ufas, and we're looking to kind of make this not a new society, but we're obviously going to have some changes post-COVID. So I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully you'll allow me to, oh, hello, I've just randomly opened something on my laptop. There we go. I'll keep talking. There we go. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to supporting all the different functions. Obviously, training, we're looking at having a 50% of a training team at the moment, and fundraising. Obviously, we don't have a candidate as of yet, so hopefully we'll be able to support people as they come in and make it a good setting for people to come into the committee as new, especially after you've had an AGM, and support them through the roles to try and get Ufas back to some form of what it used to look like before the pandemic, get people back involved, and hopefully try and return us to business as usual post-COVID with some new and exciting things. Other ideas I've got, I really want to work with lots of societies. I think that we've all missed out on all of our social interaction from the past year, and I think that it would be great to work with lots of different society, if for no other reason that as we get to speak to other people. I'll be really keen to kind of put out feelers with the training team to talk to Sign Language Society and various other medicine societies, because they've got lots of stuff that they can offer to us, and we've got lots of stuff that we can offer to them.
1 minute.
Thank you, Cam. And yeah, I also would really kind of look to talk to our current committee and our new committee when we have elected it, and also our current members to find out what people want for the year ahead, because as I say, we are looking at a different style of society, and I think that now's the time for everyone to have their voice heard on how they want Ufas to look in the future. For once, I'm going to come in under time. I think they installed the 5 or 4 minute speech basically for me after I talked for half an hour 2 years ago. So I am going to stop talking. Please consider voting for me and ask any questions. And for some reason, my laptop keeps opening up my search bar while I'm speaking, but that's okay.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Jono. So we have got a couple of questions. Please do keep sending them through on that form. It's a really good way to ask those questions. So the first question is, what are your new events or ideas as president of the society? I know you've already talked about a couple, but do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think that is massively dependent on what happens over the coming year. I think that our training is going to take quite a different turn as we come back, especially if we only have one training lead at the moment. I think that I'd really like to see more involvement from people who aren't the training lead. This is just kind of an example. Lots of people have things that they're very interested in. And I think it'd be great to see them, rather than having our one training lead do all the work. I think it'd be great to have existing volunteers or existing Ufas members come in and talk about something that really interests them, and also looking to kind of, as I said, work more with other societies to kind of allow them to run some sessions for us and collaborate to take some of the pressure off of our committee. Yeah, that's kind of, you know, some differences to some of our training sessions.
Okay, I've got another question. And please do, if you do want to ask a question, please stick your hand up or something in the chat, and I'm more than happy to pick up on it. But if not, I will carry on with the form. Another question: what experience do you have with the Guild specifically?
The Guild, that is quite a good one. I have to say that in comparison to the amount of experience that I have with St. John, the Guild is less. I have been to quite a few meetings with the society. I worked very closely with the former president, last year's president of the society. Did a lot of work with her to kind of work out some Guild things, and have helped with kind of the usual running. I know how like the risk assessments work, and I know how all the Guild processes work at least. And I would be looking to get a good handover from Callum and engage with the Guild training as well, to make sure that I am up to date with everything that the Guild does, so we can work well with the Guild as well.
Okay, and a question from me, if that is all right. So one of the things that I have found is really good this year is the accessibility of the online environment. It opens up a lot of opportunities for people to attend sessions who might not normally be able to attend sessions. As we transition back to an in-person society, an in-person world, how are you going to ensure that we continue to advance on that accessibility side of things and not move backwards?
Yeah, so something that actually is towards the end of me being unit manager and helping with the unit training there, we started recording the sessions. As you know, this year most of our sessions have been recorded, and I'm not the most techie, so I'll be looking for support from the other committee, but looking at ways that maybe we could have it so you can come in person if you want to, but also there's an option for live streaming or something, so people who are unable to come to the session are able to engage from a distance, but also stuff can be recorded so people can watch later. I think that a hybrid approach to our sessions online and in person would be a good idea.
Okay, perfect. We've got about 50 seconds left, and one final question that's come through, and this will be the last one. So if you had to sum it all up, what is your main aims as president of Ufas?
So I think that the biggest thing that I want to do is I really want to support the new committee. We are going to be seeing lots of changes, and I think that it's really important, especially with the new committee, that I want to help the new committee do what they want to do. I want to kind of clarify that whilst I've been on committee, it's not going to be well, this is how we've always done it, this is, you know, what we did. I really want to the new committee, the incoming committee, to come up with their ideas, and I would aim to support them. I think that obviously I do have ideas of my own that I've said a few of them, and I've got more, but the main goal would be to support the society committee and the society members to have their voice heard on where they want to go, where they want the society to go this year.
Okay, thank you very much. We will call that time. So as there's a slightly different style this time compared to previous years, obviously we don't need to take a break for voting or anything. The voting should now be open. If anyone has any issues with it, drop me a message and I'll answer them afterwards. I believe it is open. Yeah, just checking. So you can vote, and I will put the voting link in the chat. And you can vote there. And just kind of generally, we would encourage you to listen to each hustings before you vote for that position, because you know they're taking the time to come and make their speeches, come and answer your questions. Please do listen to them before you vote. Just kind of for a bit of respect on that. And yeah, with no further ado, we will carry on straight into the next position, which is helpfully, Jono, and I will let Jade introduce the start of it.
Yeah, sure. So the next role is unit manager, and the only nomination we have is Jono. So if you want to do your speech for 4 minutes.
Yeah, so hopefully this one will be a bit shorter than the last one. I don't need to do the introductions again because I assume that in the last 30 seconds you haven't forgotten who I am, or at least I hope not. So I'm running to be your unit manager this year for much the same reason as I'm running to be your president. St. John has been an absolutely massive part of my life. I think it's kind of defined my undergrad time. I think I'm about 70% St. John at this point. My personality is just kind of St. John. I really enjoyed being unit manager. We saw a lot of recruitment. We saw a lot of development of our volunteers. And I think that one of the main reasons I want to be unit manager again is to help continue that development. As I said, we've got lots of new volunteers coming in, especially our new vaccinators or vaccinator program volunteers coming in. So I think it would be really exciting to see how St. John takes form this year with such a hybrid of our volunteers. Why should you vote for me? Well, I've done a little bit in St. John. I've been around for a few years. I've got some experience with St. John. I'd say I've got a couple kind of 1,000 hours on events and doing various things. I'm emergency ambulance crew, so I've kind of reached the highest clinical level I can until I'm a healthcare professional, which is some years yet. And I know quite a lot about it. I've been the unit manager before. I know how a lot of it works, and I think that really helps. St. John is a very complex system. There's a lot of people to work with, and there's a lot of specific things and nuances to know. And I think that last year or 2 years ago, when I was unit manager, I learned a lot of those, which I think will hopefully make it a little bit easier for me this year to be your unit manager. Specifically with training, at the moment we don't have a unit training lead. 2-3 years ago I was unit training lead, so hopefully I would be able to support an incoming training lead post EGM and support them with my experience and give them the opportunity to kind of develop themselves as a training lead. Don't mind Jenna in the background opening lots of bags and making lots of noise. I don't know if you can hear that. And yeah, so some of my ideas, I think it was really important to involve our vaccination volunteers. We've got quite a diverse skill set now with vaccination volunteers and first aiders, advanced first aiders, and an ambulance crew. So I think that it'd be really good to find a way that works really well to engage all of our volunteers regardless of their skill set and experience. I think that we need to build a zone where people can learn skills and develop so that when events do eventually come around, hopefully over the summer or afterwards, they'll be ready and confident to go out on events or go into the vaccination centres, wherever it may be. One of the first things I'd want to do is work with the unit, work with the area and work with the district to find out what their kind of goals and ideas for us are and share ideas so we're on the same page. I think that one thing that could be improved from my time previously as unit manager is that cooperation between the people. And I think that sitting down and establishing what's going to kind of work for everyone and finding a good middle ground there will be really important, and I'm excited for that opportunity. And as I said, I think I've mentioned it previously, I think I would quite like to see some changes to training because I know it is a lot of work as unit training lead, and kind of again involve our volunteers in some training alongside the unit training lead, hopefully when we get one who's running it. I will stop talking again because otherwise I'll just talk all night. Please feel free to ask me any more questions.
I have a question.
Phoebe has a question.
What's your favourite biscuit? It's a very important question.
My favourite biscuit, the most important question in any AGM speech. My favourite biscuit probably has to be a chocolate hobnob because I absolutely love them and could devour them. Although I have to say my go-to normally is to just eat a bag of digestives, but hobnobs, you know, when I've got the spare cash, are definitely the one.
Okay, excellent. If anyone has any questions, please do stick your hand up. Otherwise, I will start moving through some on the form. So the first question, how are you going to balance, you mentioned you've got pre-existing kind of responsibilities within St. John and your emergency ambulance crew, among other things. How are you going to balance that with this position?
So at the moment, I don't really have many other roles within St John. I'm part of the training team and ambulance crew, but I think that's true of anyone that's ever had this role, or true of really most of our volunteers. I previously balanced being an AFA and doing quite a lot of event hours with being a unit manager, so I don't see that being a problem. I actually prefer to be busy, and I find that by having more to do, I'm better at my job. So I'm more than happy to kind of be organised and allot time for when I'm a unit manager and need to do admin and do meetings and those kind of things, while also kind of leaving time for me to be a demonstrator or ambulance crew or similar. I'm quite easily able to compartmentalise my time quite well.
Okay, so another question, talking about the fact that this year we haven't had an intake of first aiders. How do you, and there's also quite a lot of people who are graduating from the unit as well. As unit manager, how do you think you're going to be able to balance kind of the changes within the unit and ensure we can still fulfill our responsibilities as a unit?
So I think it's really important that we work on our relationship with other units. I think that we're going to be looking to support and be supported by our surrounding units, and that inter-unit cooperation is going to be a big part. Obviously, in the past where we've had freshers and we've maybe put 10 volunteers onto an event just like that, easy, because that's, you know, a quarter of our unit. This year that would be our entire event unit. So I think that there's going to have to be a lot of cooperation with the local units to try and kind of build on that. But I think that we'll be able to manage that, because there are plans in St John, and there's kind of the foresight on how we're going to recover post-COVID, because this isn't unique to our unit, that we've obviously not had that first aid income, and hopefully there'll be more opportunities that we can use, especially for our vaccination volunteers. We'll hopefully be able to, if they want to, join as first aiders, so that might help our slightly smaller unit this year. It's quite normal for a unit in St John to be the size that we'll have this year rather than the size that we've had in previous years.
Okay, so if there are no questions from everyone in the call, I've got one final question for you, and that would be, if you had to use 3 words to sum up your manifesto, what would they be? 40 seconds.
Okay, I think cooperation. As I said, I think that we need to work with a lot of different people to have a successful year. Jenna's just coming and is about to go to work, so it's just making me laugh. It's okay. I'm just doing my AGM speech. That's okay, Jenna. Cooperation. I think innovation. I think we're going to have to come up with lots of different ways and ideas on how we're going to see our unit taking shape post-COVID, and also flexibility for much the similar way. We don't really know what the next year's gonna have in store. I don't necessarily think that St John fully know what's going to happen for units either. So obviously we're going to have to be very flexible and willing to adapt to the new challenges that present themselves.
That is time there. Okay, thank you very much. Once again, you do have another week to vote. Votes close on the 31st of March. And as well, all of our candidates have written a manifesto. That manifesto is available through that link that I just sent into the chat. I'm also just going to resend the question link as well. And those manifestos allow you to see what the candidates, they've kind of made a written version of their speeches that talks in a bit more detail. So if you want to go back and check on something, you can watch back at the recording later or have a look at their manifestos as well. Okay, so the next position that we're going to go on to is for Publicity Officer. So we will start, our first nomination is Romy, and Romy has prepared a video to play. So I will play that now, and we will see you after that for some questions.
Hi everyone, I'm Romy and I'm running for Publicity Sec. I really enjoyed being part of Ufas this year, and I've also joined the St John's student unit. It's such a welcoming and easygoing society, so I want to use my skills to showcase how good a society is the role of Publicity Sec. So what can I bring to the role? Well, I'm a second year geography student, making me very highly skilled in presentation and the colouring in sector. I have an unlimited supply of crayons, so I can promise you that any social media campaigns for Ufas will be very bright and certainly attract attention. But all jokes aside, I'm a creative person with lots of experience in design. I created posters, adverts, I did the yearbook for my school and my college, and I have work experience in marketing as well. I know my way around technology and I love making engaging social media content. So I have a foodie Instagram account that's kind of successful. No, I'm joking. It's got about 500 followers, but I really enjoy posting on there and making it as aesthetically pleasing as possible. I would use this opportunity to try and plug that account and try and gain some more followers, but there's a time and a place. As Publicity Sec, my main aims would be to increase engagement with social media platforms and create vibrant campaigns to attract more members to Ufas. I want to build the community and make lots of people feel involved. I would also work closely with the social sec, the fundraising sec and welfare sec to encourage more students to get involved, attend events, check their wellbeing all okay, etc. A priority, if I was elected as Publicity Sec, would be to use social media platforms to make first aid skills more accessible to everyone. I'm passionate about the importance of sharing first aid skills, and I think prioritising posting videos or photos with clear diagrams or drawings, trying to illustrate simple but essential first aid skills is important. So we would do posts about like how to do CPR or how to treat burn wounds. This would mean that the skills taught in a Ufas weekly session isn't exclusively taught to those that can attend. So if someone had a clash and couldn't attend a session, they wouldn't miss out on these vital skills. So potentially saving lives elsewhere, which I know is keeping in line with Ufas's overall aim. So although I would use social media to encourage attendance of these sessions, I think it's very important to raise the awareness around first aid skills. And these posts could then be shared, reshared, increasing engagement with first aid and the society. So to be consistent, we could make this a weekly thing and call it First Aid Fridays. So we love an alliteration. GCSE English, thank you. Additionally, I would like to introduce a new concept called Volunteer of the Month. I think it's really important to recognise all the hard work that so many of the Ufas members do in their free time, also those within like the St John unit. So I would create like little monthly features or personal profile fact files. This could then boost morale within society and build a greater sense of community, which I think is really important. I would hope that it would also inspire others to get involved with St John Ambulance, encouraging them to join up or just volunteer in their own time anyway. So far I've had a really positive experience being part of St John, and I think through social media campaigns and posts I would like to encourage others to join and give back to society. So I'd work with the unit manager and things as well to see what we can do. I think also as we move back into normality, it's quite important to get as many volunteers as possible to join up because events are opening up and things like that. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you consider me for Publicity Sec. I would love to join the committee and get more involved within the society, and hopefully when things open up, be able to meet more people in person. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Romy. 1 second. Okay, so if anyone does have any questions, please do put them through on the form. I will start off with a question, if that's all right. So, Romy, this is a new role, obviously. It's not something that we've done before, and it's something that kind of, I guess, COVID has really brought to our attention as a committee this year as a kind of priority. And how do you think you will find kind of, there's no kind of, you won't get a handover, because obviously I can tell you some things about how we do it now, but we haven't had a publicity sec before. So you're kind of shaping this role, and how do you feel that you can kind of shape that?
I guess I can take structure from what's already happening on like social media pages for Ufas, but just take some new ideas, put them in, maybe create like new aesthetics. I don't know, I just quite like the whole presentation, making it all look nice and the same borders, all that sort of stuff, but also using the social media sites to encourage more people to get involved. And, you know, even with like stories and stuff and just getting people engaging with the content, that sort of stuff, really.
Okay, perfect. And whoever, is it Phoebe at the minute? Do you have a question?
I do have, again, very important question. What is your favourite biscuit?
Ginger snap, probably, because it's like it's got the crunch and then also ginger. Just it kind of makes sense, but
I will
hot
raise you the
biscuit.
possibility of a ginger
Ooh.
crunch cream, which I am. But yes, carrying on, I have a question from someone on the form. They would like to know what your foodie Instagram is.
Oh no.
So you might get some new followers.
It's called Blooming Gorgeous Food.
Excellent.
I can put it in the chat if you want, but now I feel embarrassed. The pressure.
Okay. And then I guess I haven't seen any more questions come through, but I have another one. Unless, Jade, do you have one? Are you looking at me like you have one?
I have one. What would be the social media that you would like to develop the most, knowing the ones we are kind of using, which are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter? Is there anything in particular you think we should have worked more on, or do you have any other platforms that you would like to work on?
I think for students, mostly Instagram's like the most popular one. Facebook is also really good because then you can do the groups like Overheard and get lots of people involved in the events. But I think Instagram probably more so for teaching the skills, the first aid skills, but Facebook more for events. I mean, you could maybe do TikTok and then teach some first aid skills on that. Get creative. I don't know. We can have a go.
Okay, and then I think the last question of your time from Sonia, then please.
Hi, this is a bit of a random question, so honestly, you don't even have to answer that. But
Okay.
this year, I've done like a promotion for Ufas on Instagram, and I've used like GIFs. And Callum said that last year, him and I think Cosmo, you guys tried to make GIFs for Ufas specifically. Do you think this is something you could work on for next year? Because I think that would be quite a cool idea.
Yeah. What would like I'm thinking maybe members' faces, or do you mean first aid in general and then like doing little? I can look it up.
I think Callum and Cosmo meant like specifically like Ufas logos and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that'd be quite good.
I remember we tried
and stuff
that.
that's been on stuff that's been put on the stash as well. They'd be quite good to include because there's some nice designs.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I don't think there are any more questions, Romy, so thank you very much. Thank you for your time. We have a second candidate for Publicity Sec, which is Liwei Roxanne. I've got your manifesto. Did you want to speak?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I can share screen as you talk through it, if that's helpful for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, you have 4 minutes.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Li Wei Huang, and you guys can call me Roxanne. And I'm an international student, and I'm also a current first-year psychology student. So today I'm running a position for Publicity Secretary, and I just want to talk about something about me. First is that I'm an international student. I'm from China, which is very far from the UK, and it's also my first year to study abroad, and it's also my first time to have an election. And I'm a crazy foodie lover that I always to go outside to discover some restaurants or home kitchens, and then I would take some pictures and I will rudely post some food pictures on my Instagram or IG stories or other things. And I'm also just want to prepare for Instagram account about my photographies. And I think I have higher pattern perspectives, but sometimes I have trypophobia. It's just like to feel some objects that clusters with some small holes. And what could I bring to the societies? The first thing is that I was a pre-vice president of photography societies and pre-staff of badminton club in my high school, and I worked alongside or in group before, so I think I understand something about how the societies or systems work, like what's the very efficient or effective ways or communication among the members and committees or other peoples from the universities. And then I can understand what the audience or other readers expecting to know from social medias. And then I think I have relatively better insight into patterns and graph settings, so because it's easy for me to discover or discriminate some very small difference from very similar things or graph. And I think I'm a very approachable person that I can be patient or careful on everything or every works I need to do. And I just want to introduce about my skills. I think I have excellent writing and text communication, and I have experience updating the activities and news of societies before in my high school. And I think I'm good at using social media channels, and because I'm a psychology student, so it's easy for me to have data analysis, like statistic or accounting things, and I'm good at PowerPoint as well. And now I just want to talk about some motivations for me. The strongest motivation is that I really enjoy.
You have 1 minute, sorry.
Okay, I really enjoy graphic designs, and I just want to post some graphs or advertisings and tips online. And it's a very good challenge for me because I know sometimes I will have some problems or gaps on communication with some local people. So I think this is a very good opportunities for me to be familiar with local working cultures. And as a psychology student, I can understand the importance of first aid. And at the same time, I appreciate to confront other people who have basic mental health problems like phobias or traumas, which maybe disturbs the emergency treatment. And what I plan to do if I elected, I will continuously updating the information about weekly sessions at least 3 days earlier on social medias. And I will notify the host of each sessions how many members will participate these activities a day ahead. And at the same time, I also will post some basic tips online on social medias so that other students or some residents can know some knowledge about first aid and they can use it in the futures.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop you there, Roxanne. Thank you very much. That was your 4 minutes. Roxanne's, as always, with all of the different things. The manifestos are all available on the Guild website. So I'm sure I think there was a couple more bits left to talk about, but those are on Roxanne's manifesto, so please do check that out as well. So now I think I'll start off with a question from the form. What do you like about what Ufas does on social media at the minute, and kind of what are the key areas that you'd like to improve?
The key areas for me to improve is that I think I will do some pop quiz on use Instagram stories so that someone else can also participate in our societies or just ask us some basic questions or knowledges, and I will convey to other communities to help me to answer the question, and I will post the answers online as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Phoebe?
I realized I didn't explain this is a traditional UFAS AGM question, so this is why I'm asking it, because I'm nothing if not traditional. So what is your favorite biscuit?
It's hard to say because it's a Chinese biscuit, so.
That's fine. It just means that no one can be really aggressive at you about your opinion if they don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, to be honest.
If you can share the name, I would like to try it out because I like new biscuit types. I'm sure all of us will try the biscuit. Okay, so you've done your question. I will ask the same question as I did before to Romy. This is a new role. There's no kind of established precedent for how it runs. So how do you feel that you're going to be able to shape the role, and are there any kind of how do you think you're going to handle not kind of having an established position within the committee already?
I think I will really work weekly to post some introductions about our societies and our activities from Xinjiang or our our societies, and I will let other people to know more about our society's activities, and maybe we could encourage them to participate our activities or some specific events.
Okay, perfect. And Sonia?
I want to ask the same question Jade asked Romy. What social media would you like to focus the most?
I think maybe it's also Instagram and WhatsApp, because for most youngsters, I think they like to use Instagram more than Facebook. Just like me, I think I like to use Instagram, especially Instagram stories, and so I will focus on the stories, just like some post or some pop quiz and Q&A sections, so that I just want to increase the interactions between our members to other students.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I believe that is the 4 minutes. So thank you very much to both Romy and Roxanne. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Please do check out their manifestos and vote. We will move on. I will pass over to Jade now, and we are going to talk about events lead.
Yeah, so the next role we're going for is Unit Event and Services Lead. So we have one candidate for this role, and that's Jono again. So Jono, like if you want to do another 4-minute speech, it's whenever.
Yeah, perfect timing because Jenna's just left, so she won't be interrupting this time. Yeah, so I don't really have much to say about events, purely because hopefully, all going well for President and Unit Manager, I won't actually be able to take up the role of events because I can't do 3 roles on committee. It would just be too much work. But as before, everything kind of still stands on why I want to be on committee, and same really my motivations for Unit Manager are the same for events. I absolutely love events, have done quite a few of them, and I really enjoy it. For me, it's one of the best things about St. John is being able to go on events, get some experience clinically, but also spend a lot of time with your friends. I've made some very good memories sitting in a treatment centre at 4 o'clock in the morning, singing Hamilton with JJ in mild delirium after 8 nights of all-nighters. You know, many good events from many good memories from events, and I would want to help our volunteers get the same experience from events as well. I think also part of events and services leaders, the services, so it's not just for our clinical volunteers, also making sure that our vaccinators are supported and our hospital care volunteers and our various other kind of community response functions are also supported as well, because there is a lot more to events than just events. And yeah, I think that much the same of why I want to be unit manager applies for events. And again, I've got lots of experience on, so I think that I could bring a lot to it. So yeah, and hopefully post EGM, if we get somebody else who could stand for events. It feels very strange to be doing a speech where I say I want to do events, but I know that I can't do events. We'll hopefully be able to support with my experience that I've gained as you imagine being on events, and I'm an event foundation manager. Hopefully be able to support a new events lead as well in that area. And that's a much shorter speech than previously. So yeah, please do vote for me for events, and we'll see how the results turn out before anything happens.
Okay, perfect. So does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I've got a few on the poll.
I have a question. It's not, I obviously already know Jono's favourite biscuit because he's already told it.
It's still chocolate hot.
But as your outgoing event services lead, if you had the role and you had an event that was coming up and you didn't have many people who seemed interested in not running, this is the AGM, I'm stuck on AGM, but if you didn't have people interested in volunteering at this event, how would you sort of encourage them to get more involved?
Yeah, so I think that the first thing I'd want to do is kind of make sure I've started that process early, so that if people aren't able to volunteer or it's looking like we're not having a great uptake, we know that in advance rather than kind of dealing with that a few days before. I think that promotion to the unit, obviously making sure that people are aware of it and kind of really presenting it in a positive light, and hopefully sharing some experiences from previous years as to why that would be a good event. I found that normally works quite well. If we say, hey, last year was really fun, people tend to want to come along more. But also finding out why people don't want to volunteer for that event. It might simply be that it's deadline week and we're going to be snowed under and people just can't do it. In which case I'll be going to our local units and our area and district management team to make sure that our unit is supported in covering that event so that it can still go ahead. But also looking at if there is a particular reason why somebody doesn't want to do it. I know, for example, it's a very cold time of year, and last time they did that event, they got making sure that I take that feedback.
Jono, sorry, we lost you for about 10 seconds there.
That's all right. I'll kind of skip back. I don't know where I was. Getting feedback from volunteers. It's something I did introduced with Anne Mary back when I was unit manager and she was events lead. We got lots of feedback from people who'd been on events, so we knew what the issues would be. Sometimes we've had people not want to go on events because it's really, really cold and wet and they don't have the appropriate uniform for it, which we're able to sort, or if it's transport issues, all sorts of things, we're able to kind of find out what it is and try and overcome those issues to make sure our volunteers can volunteer where and when they want.
Okay. There's someone that has asked a question, which is, how will you allocate events between volunteers, as there's most of the time more interest in the unit, like as in done places on events, like that has come up many times in the past. So how would you manage this in a group dynamic?
Sorry, could you how would I manage what specifically? Sorry, you cut out a bit there.
Sorry, the fact that sometimes we have more volunteers keen on going on a certain event than the actual places available.
Okay, so if you've got kind of an oversubscribed event.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think in part we're going to see a little bit less of that this year just because of the fact that we've got smaller numbers. But I think that kind of looking at things as a slightly wider picture than just that one event. So if one person can do, say, this weekend and next weekend, but another person can only do this weekend, making sure that that person does their kind of first choice because they kind of have more limited ability or availability. I think that trying to balance it out so everyone gets an equal experience and gets equal opportunity to develop their skills and confidence where possible. Obviously, it's not always kind of that easy, and I think that is something that was difficult for Anne Mary and would have been difficult for Phoebe, is kind of making sure that everyone gets a fair share of their events. So I think that working with people kind of in advance to kind of say, rather than this is the event we need covering, say, well, these are the events that we need covering in the next 6 weeks, sign up your availability and looking at what will best allow the most volunteers to get the most experience whilst rotating it fairly between them.
Okay, and one last question from me. Just a quick answer to this one, if you can, please. How will you ensure all volunteers are comfortable going on events that they, like bigger events where they might be the only volunteer from the unit attending?
Okay, so talking more about volunteers going to events with kind of people that they don't know, is that more the question?
Yes, please.
So I think that making sure that they get the information well in advance, and kind of so they know what they're expecting, they know what they're going to kind of turn up for, and ideally contacting the event manager, commander, whoever it is in charge of that event, and kind of making sure that maybe if a volunteer has a particular person that they do or don't want to be with, that can be matched up in the deployment. I think is the big one, is making sure that people are deployed with other volunteers that they would be happy with, but also where possible, kind of trying to avoid the situation where somebody goes on an event alone, and if possible sending kind of multiple people from our unit so we can support each other, especially while volunteers are newer to the unit or to St. John.
Okay, so that is time for the questions. Thank you very much. Once again, I will just plug voting and manifestos. Please do check them out on the Guild website. The next position that we're going to go through is Society Training Lead, and we have one candidate, Jacob. So when you are ready, Jacob, you have 4 minutes. So when you're ready, please begin.
All right. Hi, everybody. Now, I'm probably not going to be as fancy as everybody else with using a presentation, but that's fine. I just want to say I applied for the Society Training Lead role because from the 2 years of experience that I was in Ufas, I really enjoyed the time here. And I did enjoy also the massive amounts of knowledge imparted onto me thanks to the fabulous First Aid Society team. And let me just go through a small amount of firstly personal motivation, secondly my qualifications as to how I want to serve you well in the role of society lead, lead training. Firstly, as a psychologist, there are many concepts that might give me a unique perspective onto how first aid is done, especially in the aspects of mental health. And I wish to also impart that knowledge onto you. But also, I personally think that the always lighthearted approach that was promoted by the entire society should be kept as well. I also believe that in the difficult times that we have here, we need a little bit more practical aspects of the training so we can experience a little bit more. And hence, I want to improve that by creating small scenarios that you and your friends might enact by yourselves. Furthermore, I think that it's just a major endeavor I believe that it's a major endeavor to share the knowledge of first aid to everybody else that is not currently knowledgeable or using it well enough. Yeah, and for motivations, I have in this particular group, I have met several very very interesting people, such as Luke Tester and other guests. But also, I have met several individuals outside of this team, such as Dr. Ahmed Hankir, and also which was also referenced as the wounded healer. And they gave me perspective and a willingness to actually go into the medical sciences and start first with first aid as my source. And secondly, because of my experience in charities as well as in different societies that help people, I sincerely believe that first aid is a necessary thing to develop further. And as such, I'm here to become your society training lead. And any questions so far?
Yes, so you've got about a minute left if you wanted to say anything else. Other than that, if you're happy, we can move on to questions.
I'm pretty much happy with what I said.
Okay, perfect. So the first question is on engagement, and it's going to be quite tricky. You know, we've had an online year this year. We're moving back into in-person sessions. How are you aiming to kind of increase engagement within those sessions, particularly as we're transitioning back into in-person events later in the year and into the next academic year?
So the way that I think of in-person events is to return what we had last time in the terms of finding a suitable area where we can perform practical sessions, and also to negotiate with the committee a very practical and very interesting kind of way of presenting practical events. But also throughout the time that we are still in personal, if it's going to happen, I'm planning to create scenarios that everybody could do with the in-house equipment that they have, with their friends, with their families, as also to spread the knowledge and to reinforce your own knowledge.
Okay, thank you very much. Please do stick your hand up if you have any questions. If not, I have a few more. Okay. So a question from me and also from someone on the chat. One of the other roles of the Society Training Lead is outreach, and particularly kind of spreading first aid, not spreading first aid, that sounds quite un-COVID friendly, but spreading the knowledge of first aid in our local community. Do you have any plans about how you might be able to do that, increase our outreach within?
So the idea as to increase our outreach is as following. In the start of the Freshers Week, I have an idea of making either a small online event, if it's still not going to be in person, or an active event, or an active event with an actual table out in the Great Hall, showing multitudes of different aspects of first aid. The question about my fav biscuit, that's a good question. I am partial to a good Jaffa cake.
Okay, please do stick your hand up if you do have questions. Jaffa cake is a strong choice. Controversial choice. I'm not sure.
Now, Polish Jaffa cakes are different.
Oh, okay. Well, please bring back some Polish Jaffa cakes. I'd love to try a Polish Jaffa cake and see how.
Am I the only one here who thinks that Jaffa cake is not controversial at all? My granddad has had 97 years.
Jay.
I would like.
We're still in the question time. We'll do rants about Jaffa cakes at the end.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes, I have. So a question: can we guarantee the return of story time next year?
Now, I'm going to try my best as to ask questions, ask if anybody has any story times, anything that you're comfortable sharing, but also I will share some of my personal experiences that I might have relating to first aid or certain topics or anything that I might have read that might be remotely interesting. But certainly, I encourage everybody from the group, from the committee, and generally everyone in Ufas to share story time, because it's going to be a strong aspect of my candidacy.
So I had a question. So I know you've been able to witness face-to-face sessions last year, and you've also witnessed online sessions this year. If we go back to face-to-face session, is there any special activities that you would do, or anything differently in terms of face-to-face activities? Is there anything you would change in the sessions or want to try out, or any topics that we haven't especially focused on?
On the topics, maybe I would expand it a little bit, although further plans as to the exact details are still in development. I'm still going through them. As to the practical aspects, I would definitely think that I would reintroduce the practical aspects, but as much we are going into in-person teaching, I would still keep to the COVID guidelines, because, well, we have COVID as it is, and hence I personally think that keeping the social distance a little bit and just maintaining minimal safety is going to be a good idea for the first weeks or months of in-person teaching.
Okay, and then one final question, and a nice short answer to this one, if you can, please. Kind of a few things in one. Could you talk a little bit about any experience you might have with public speaking, teaching first aid, and first aid in general?
So Public speaking has been most of the time a forte of mine. I usually speak publicly when it's required for me to do actual psychological presentations. And I think that it's a very useful skill that I enjoy doing. It's basically one of my, it's just fun for me to speak to people openly and share jokes and allow everybody to have a fun time. As to also speaking openly and presenting, I guess a part of my job experience was also as a bartender. So generally, I love entertaining people with different kinds of jokes, stories. And I think that through these experiences, I can help make it more encouraging and entertaining, the presentations overall.
Okay, perfect. That is the end of questions for you. The position that would normally come here would be unit training lead. We didn't have anyone apply for the position of unit training lead this year, so we're aiming to hold an EGM at some point. Details will be followed up shortly. An EGM where we will try and get nominations and elect a training lead, along with a fundraising lead and any other positions that may be vacant from the end of the AGM and the results. So the next position that we're going to elect is, or the next position for the hustings, sorry, is treasurer. So we have one candidate for treasurer, and that is Anna Dickerson. Anna, if you're ready, 4 minutes, take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Anna. I'm studying medical sciences. I'm in my second year now. I'm going into my professional training year next year. So that does mean that I might not be able to go to sessions because of how my hours will be, but I will be very committed to attend sessions when I can and to do all the admin that's required of me for each week's Ufas session in my free time, and I will definitely make time for Ufas because I would much rather do Ufas than something else, even though my PTY will be very exciting for me. So also I'm organised. I've developed my organisation through being part of a student-led project this term to improve engagement with online learning. And I have developed my communication skills by being part of MedSci Pals this year. So I've been presenting and delivering sessions about assessments for first year students. And I would work closely with the fundraising lead, which I don't think we have one, but oh well, to try and get funding, and working with the social sec to organise and sell stash. Something I would like to implement within Ufas is a buddy system. So as Ufas happens in the evening, and when we get back to in-person sessions, it's dark walking to campus and back, and it might not necessarily be safe for people walking on their own. I know this isn't really something a treasurer does, but I think it's important. And I would like to be part of implementing that so people can not be walking on their own. Also, I'm interested in diabetes, so if I was available, I'd like to be interested in a session run on diabetes, mostly because my boyfriend's diabetic, but also because it interests me. And it's one of the focuses of my PTY. And I'm also interested in food allergies and intolerances because I am gluten intolerant. My motivation for running for committee is I really enjoy being part of Ufas. It is my main society this year because it's online. And I've enjoyed the social interaction with everyone. And I will miss that next year because if I can't be part of Ufas in a normal way. Also, it will look good on my CV, so transferable skills, something that future education people want. And I want to keep Ufas going because there's been a drop in numbers through the pandemic. And I want to keep Ufas going next year.
1 minute.
I'm kind of done.
No worries. We'll call that there. So thank you very much for that. So what's my kind of first question is, I was the treasurer a couple of years ago. Jay's been our treasurer this year. I think one of the biggest challenges of my role was balancing everything with trying to make sure everything we do as a society is financially viable, and the society isn't going to be losing money. We're not at risk financially. And part of that is being able to support the other kind of positions and stuff like that. So especially social sec and fundraising sec. You did mention you wanted to kind of help them and support them. Do you think you could give some more details, particularly about kind of running in-person events? Do you have any experience, or how do you think you'd be able to help out with those kind of positions?
I don't have a lot of experience of running sort of fundraising type events, but with trampolining last year, we did run a cake sale at St. Luke's, so I'd be okay to help out with cake sales if I was available for fundraising.
Perfect. Yeah. So happy to go on to, I'm presuming it's Phoebe.
Of course. Once again, I'm not going to leave anyone out on this, but what is your favourite biscuit?
Well, obviously something gluten-free, but so either a gluten-free Kit Kat or a gluten-free custard cream.
Nice.
Excellent. And Sonia?
I was really interested in the buddy system you mentioned. Do you have any idea how you're planning to run that yet? If not, that's fine.
So sort of take a kind of from with the publicity sec. So if people are interested, they can tell us if they're going to be coming to a session, and then they can say if they're going to be walking home on their own or not. And then if people live near them or are willing to, they can walk with them.
Thank you. That's nice.
Okay. Did anyone else have any other questions? Okay, I don't have any more questions. So unless anyone else did, we will say kind of the end of your question time there. Thank you very much. And once again, candidates voting, manifestos, candidates, guild website. That kind of sums it up. Okay. Great, thank you very much. So we will kind of be moving fairly swiftly on to looking at the position of unit equipment and logistics lead. So for that, we have one candidate, Roseanne. So Roseanne, you had a recording, I think, that I will play now. Okay, so we'll listen to Roseanne's recording and then time the questions. Please do add your questions into the poll as you go.
Hi everyone, my name is Roseanne and I'm a second year medical sciences student. Since joining St. John just over a year ago, it has given me the opportunity to learn first aid and challenged me to apply this knowledge to different scenarios. I've always had huge respect for the work that committee members do for St. John Ambulance, and I would like to put myself forward for unit logistics lead in order to support the committee. It will enable me to give back to St. John and be more involved in the way it is run day to day. Although this role is new to me, I'm interested in learning new skills, and I have an appreciation for work that goes on behind the scenes. I previously co-led a drama production as a stage manager, and my role included managing the props, working with other departments such as lighting and cueing the actors. It helped to develop my time management, teamwork, and problem-solving skills, and I would like to build on these skills as logistics lead. Stage managing also made me appreciate the organisational and practical support required for the running of productions, as well as organisations such as St. John. I think we sometimes forget how important the people who work behind the scenes are for the running of organisations, and I would like to explore this further as unit logistics lead. Even though the pandemic has made face-to-face events difficult, I've had an insight into the work that St. John volunteers do. During the summer, I helped with screening at blood banks and assisting nurses with swabbing patients. I look forward to more opportunities working with St. John Ambulance, and I believe that as unit logistics lead, I'll be able to quickly learn my responsibilities. I'm also always willing to listen to the respective people, whether this be unit manager or other St. John staff. Above all, I'm not afraid to ask for help when I'm unsure of things, and I trust that my team members will be supportive to help me carry out my duties. I know that it has been difficult for social interaction because of the pandemic, especially for first years, but Ufas has continued to be a welcoming society. One thing I'd like to encourage further is more icebreaker activities for newer members, especially if activities will be online. Perhaps if we do a mixture of activities in both the main and breakout rooms, where people can get to know each other. I think that Ufas does a good job of welcoming new members anyway, but I would look at finding new icebreaker activities to ease people in. Thank you for listening, and if you'd like to, don't forget to vote for me, Roseanne, as Unit Logistics Lead.
Cool. I had a question for Roseanne. So I know you're currently an FA and there's a lot of equipment that can be used by AFAs or like more skilled volunteers. And I was wondering, how would you kind of get this knowledge of what equipment is needed and like all the different policies? Like how would you kind of find all these information, kind of work around the fact that you might not know everything?
That's a good question. I think I'd probably ask Charlotte, who's the previous unit logistics lead, and like get a good handover from her, try and like bring myself up to speed, and yeah, I think just sort of taking direction because I'm sort of new to this, but yeah.
Okay. So I mean, you know that the role of logistic leads might involve a lot of trips to the hub. It's quite away from the city centre, so I was wondering if you had any plans to go there, or like, are you willing to go there and like finding a way of going there if you get the role?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I think like with the whole sort of, because I'm at home, but like I would assume that like when things would go back to sort of like normal, then like I'd be in Exeter hopefully, so hopefully that wouldn't be like too bad. Yeah.
Okay.
Shall we go to presumably Phoebe?
Hi, yes. What is your favourite biscuit?
I'd probably say probably Jaffa cakes as well. I don't know if that's, people say it's controversial. I don't think it's controversial though, but anyway, I quite like Jaffa cakes, yeah.
It's because they're not a biscuit. They're not a biscuit. Never mind. No, but they are a small baked snack. I have a question, if that is all right. So I think with logistics, oftentimes you can get quite last minute things because situations change, plans change, and things have to happen quite quickly and at the last minute. How do you think you'll be able to kind of incorporate that and kind of manage those kind of last minute things that pop up?
I think I can only sort of do it to the like best of my ability, but I think like depending on like I'd sort of know the mode of like communication, so like if I'm expecting it to be like via email or like I don't know, Facebook or whatever, so I'd sort of make sure I have like my notifications on, and so I can see things as soon as possible. But if things are sort of last minute, that would be a problem, but I can only you know, be receptive to like whatever comes and deal with it when it comes, basically.
Cool. Does anyone have any other questions? Doesn't seem to any questions.
Okay. If there's no more questions, thank you very much, Roseanne. I really appreciate you coming and standing and speaking for all of us. So let's go next. We'll go to our social secretary, Hustings. So Jenny is nominating herself for social sec. You were just going to speak, I think?
Yeah.
Cool. So when you're ready, you have 4 minutes. Please take it away.
Okay, so you probably already know me because I'm actually already the social sec this year. But basically, I want to do it again. For the main reason being, I didn't get to do the socials that I wanted to do. That's the simple version, but I'll give you the long version. So Ufas, I've been here since 2019 and I've loved it. It's been amazing for my mental health, and I made great friends. So that's just why I want to stay. So for skills and experience, I've done it before now, obviously not in the same way because I haven't had to book in-person things before, but I'm excited to do that if I can. And obviously I've had experience working with the treasurer and sometimes the fundraising officer in order to get things working. And I kind of know how it works. So yeah, that's been really useful this year. In terms of my plans for Ufas, one of the big things that I've enjoyed this year is joining the unit, and I've been able to become a volunteer vaccinator to join the unit, and I've really enjoyed going to unit sessions. And one thing I've noticed is that there's different people who turn up to unit sessions that come to our Ufas sessions. For obvious reasons, people are busy, people have different priorities, and I really want to get those two groups of people to be able to come together and get to know each other more, because I think if people want to join the unit, it's a great way to understand the unit better, and also it's a great way for people in the unit to kind of integrate themselves within the society without having to commit to coming to every Wednesday session, you know, just a social a month just to bring everyone together, which I think would be really nice because everyone in the unit's really lovely, and I think it'd be great for everyone to come together. Of course, I also want to do some more of the classic Ufas socials that we didn't get to do this year, like our Christmas dinner, our ball. Do we call it a ball? I think so. And Christmas market things. If we can do those, I am down to get them done. In terms of socials that are kind of more my little spin on things, I'm obsessed with alpacas. I'd love to do an alpaca farm visit. It's a bit random, but if anyone wants to come with me, I'll love it. As well as that, there's the donkey sanctuary, which is really near here. And again, it's free to go there, and I want to see the donkeys, and I think it'd be fun. Another thing that I've never seen.
Sorry, 1 minute.
Okay.
1 minute.
I've never seen a society do before, but they probably have, is a trip to Exmouth, maybe go on, but specifically like they do boat tours around Exmouth where you get to see the coast and there's seals, and it's really cute, and I want to do it. Yeah, so as well as that, I'd like to work with the fundraising officer because I've really enjoyed fundraising this year through our cards that we did, and I'd like to maybe do more socials that involve fundraising. And yeah, the main thing is I just love Ufas and I want to stay. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, I will answer.
Amazing, thank you very much, Jenny. So my first question relates to an extremely important part of Ufas that has been sadly missed this year, which is of course the RAM is an integral part. Obviously we can just go to the RAM, But do you have any ideas about how we can kind of develop that kind of socializing time after sessions when people have turned up? Any ideas about that?
Yeah, well, I think especially if we keep our sessions to time, which I know we don't always do, it's like, because a lot of people want to go there for curly fries as well as maybe a drink. So, you know, like we've done in, not this year, but previous years, promote the RAM every session. And it's a great way for people to get to know each other without having to commit. Like, you can just stay for like 10 minutes and just chat to people in a non-like formal way. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Phoebe?
I actually have two questions this time in a surprising turn of events. First one, of course, what is your favourite biscuit? And then second, I know last year before COVID hit, Jenna was planning sort of a well-being ball. Is that what they called it? It was like nightlife.
Yes. Yeah.
Charity and causes ball.
Charity and causes ball. That's the one. Would you continue this?
Yes.
Supposed to happen, but then now didn't.
Yes, that's when I was thinking of balls. I think that was the one. Yeah, and my favorite biscuit is probably a custard cream, or if I'm going kind of bougie, you know, those like dark chocolate, are they called like Leibniz? I never know how to say the name, but they're really good.
Chocolabinsk.
That's it.
Like that.
I can't, I'm dyslexic, I can't read it, but they're really good. Yeah, and yes, definitely that. I was like, I'd got my ticket to that ball and I had to get it refunded, and it was really sad. So 100%, I'd like to work with other society committees in order to do that again, definitely.
Excellent. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, so again, it's been a very different year to kind of what you might have expected going into the role due to COVID. So do you have any kind of things that happened this year that you'd like to change next time around, or any things that you've learned from this year that you'd like to make sure that we keep on doing?
I think I'm not sure about things that I'd like to improve per se, because I think what we would be hopefully doing next year would be quite different. But one thing that I would like to bring is maybe the accessibility side of things for socials as well. Like maybe every now and then still doing an online one in some capacity, because some people don't want to leave their house, and that's completely fine. And I would still like them to be able to come. And maybe other accessibility things that I can't think of right now, but yeah, those kind of things.
Okay, many thanks. Does anyone else have anything? Otherwise, we will move on to the next position. Perfect, it's nothing on the form. Okay, so the next position that we are going to elect is General Secretary, and we have two candidates, Anna Dickerson and Roseanne. So if you would like to, we'll go with Anna first. She's the first on my nomination sheet, but yeah, you have up to 4 minutes, and when you're ready, begin.
I don't really have that much to add from what I've already said, but I will say that I would enjoy writing the Ufas email each week and working with the publicity secretary to advertise our sessions on social media. And I think that good communication skills are important for a general sec, because otherwise people might not know about the sessions, or if there's a room change or different events happening with the society. Everything else is the same.
Okay, no worries. We'll go straight into questions then. Sonia.
As a current general sec, is there anything you'd like to make better or improve in terms of communication to the society?
Not really. Your emails are really informative, so
thank you.
Keep up the level of informative.
Well, I was wondering whether you'd make like an Instagram post or anything else, something like that.
Yeah, I could work with the publicity set to make Instagram posts.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so Gen Sec is one of those roles that's been very different this year, possibly almost more than any other role, apart from maybe Social Sec. Social sec might have been more different, but Gen Sec certainly had an awful lot of changes. And going forward, we're going to go, as many other candidates tonight have said, into kind of this period of change where everything's going to be different and new. How do you think you'll be able to kind of cope and manage those challenges of things like working with the room bookings team and the guild activities team to make sure that you're able to support other committee members in the delivery of kind of event activity?
Well, I'd make sure that everything is done like well ahead of time, so booking rooms more than a week in advance to make sure everything will be sorted for when we need it.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions? Otherwise, we will move on to Roseanne. Okay, Roseanne, did you have anything else that you wanted to go in your speech?
No, not really. my first choice was logistics, but I thought general secretary was like a good role as well. But I don't really think I have anything else to add, to be honest. Yeah.
I have a question. Why would you be a good general secretary?
I think I'm quite organized at the best of times. And I'm like quite interested in getting like more involved with Ufas and with like the unit as well. And I think I'd like definitely be committed. And yeah, I'm just sort of like, you know, I like learning and like doing new things. So yeah.
Sonia?
I just want to ask the same question. Is there anything you'd like to improve or make better with the communication to the society?
I think it's been pretty good. I'd probably like see how much like engagement like people have like had like with the say like with the emails or like with like the Facebook posts. So I'd kind of sorry, so I'd kind of want to see like how much engagement like people have had, and then perhaps like see you know, if it can be taken a different direction. But yeah, I'd probably like check that first, but I think it's been like pretty good, like from like me as a receiver. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Are there any final questions for Roseanne? Okay, otherwise we will move on to our last hustings of the evening. This is for welfare officer, apologies, wrong name. We have two candidates for welfare officer, Jacob and Jenny. And as you may know or may not know, you can only be the welfare officer if you have also won another committee position as well. So we will start off with Jacob and then go to Jenny afterwards. Again, you have up to 4 minutes and then 4 minutes of questions.
So everybody, thank you so much once again for letting me be in this fantastic society. It has been a blast, as I said before. But the reason that I chose to be a welfare officer is because of my experience in psychology and my keen interest in helping people, not only just in terms of like welfare issues, but also in general. I think this particular position would be a very good idea for me. Also, I think aspects of my personality, such as empathy, lack of judgment, and also other personality factors, as well as also open-mindedness and easygoingness, might be good factors in helping with all kinds of welfare issues. And as such, I would ask you to vote for me, please, as your welfare officer. Thank you so much.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, I have one.
go on, Jade.
Sorry. So a welfare officer is mainly about like signposting and kind of not dealing with the problem yourself. How would you make sure that you keep these boundaries if someone comes up to you or share anything with you? How are you going to make sure that you are not the only one dealing with this and that it's more signposted? It makes sense.
I understand. Signposting is a bad word. I would suggest several websites such as the Exeter Nightline, such as the Samaritans, and other companies that are related with this, as well as some apps that, so for instance, BetterHelp app that also comes in handy in these difficult times of COVID. In that regard, as a first response before anything. And if there is something to share, I will make sure that it's not just me and that these people would be joining these other groups for that purpose.
I had a quick question. Sorry. So a lot of kind of my experience of welfare officer this year has been quite behind the scenes, and I've kind of started to try and bring it a little bit more to the forefront of what we do in Ufas, but I would be keen to hear like your ideas of how you would do that, or just generally like how you could extend the role of welfare officer.
So my idea of a welfare officer personally in that regard would be to say at the end of a session, if anybody has any issues that they wish to speak about regarding the presentation or anything in general regarding the presentations and first aid, or anything for that matter, I would use the time after the presentation to talk to these people individually and, as I said before, suggest these kinds of joining either the groups that I mentioned or just discussing the topic over, but certainly joining the groups also if it's a more serious issue.
And Phoebe or Dono?
Obviously, I already know what your favourite biscuit is. I just wanted to ask, so you've already mentioned things like Nightline and Samaritans, but another part of being a welfare officer may include signposting people to the university wellbeing services. So I just wondered what your knowledge or experience of this was.
So I am aware of the well-being services. I have used them myself personally in regards of my dyslexia, and I know how they operate in that regard. Therefore, I think that through the communication that I have with them and my constant correspondence that I have available at all times thanks to email, I think I will be able to also signpost these people to these particular people.
Okay, thank you very much. So then, if there's any more questions, I don't think there are any more. So, Jenny, for up to 4 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm also running for welfare officer. Being in this society has been really great for my mental health, and I'd like to think that I could try help others who might need extra support. I'm really familiar with a lot of the support services that the university has, mostly through using it myself, but also just generally knowing about it. And as someone who's passionate about mental health and well-being, I want to learn more about it. So doing this role means that I get to learn more about this, educating myself about ways to signpost people. So yeah, I know the university system quite well as well, but I'm also aware of charities for all different types of issues, I guess you could say. But one of the most important things to me is confidentiality and active listening, and those two things I would endeavour to do. And I think being the social sec, I would hopefully be a kind of recognisable face to people, and like hopefully a friendly face as well. And sorry, my mind just went blank, sorry. Yes, what I was going to say was, also I would want to make sure, similar to what Beth had asked before to Jacob, that if at the start of each session, as well as having our little wellbeing slide, I would mention who I am, and also say you don't just have to talk to me. You know, what if someone doesn't want to talk to me, that's perfectly fine. All the committee are lovely, that kind of thing. But yeah, key points are confidentiality and active listening and signposting. Yeah, I'm done.
Perfect. Did anyone have any questions for Jenny?
Yeah, I had a question. So, well, obviously being welfare officer is also about making sure there's signposting things, but it's also spreading awareness on mental health diseases or anything like this. Do you have any kind of ideas or events or things that you would like to do that are not only about like well-being of the members, but kind of spreading awareness in general?
Yeah, definitely. I think whether that be through maybe a social / fundraising event, or it being something we would do in society sessions and unit sessions, maybe like have a dedicated session to it. And I know at one point we were talking, I don't think we did it this year, but we were talking about maybe getting a sort of well-being / signposting banner that we can have up during sessions, which I think would be great, with like the key numbers like Samaritans and that kind of thing. So it's always there. No one has to raise their hand or ask questions. They can just see it and write it down. So yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thank you very much. I don't have any questions. So did anyone have any final questions? Well, if not, I will call the hustings to an end then. That is everything that we have to get through tonight. Just I will share screen again. I need to click present first. There we are.
I was just going to say I was just going to say congratulations for everyone running tonight, because it's very difficult to be online. It's very difficult to make a speech online. So, you know, yeah. I think you all did a great job. So, yeah.
Thank you to everyone who put themselves forward as well, because it's, you know, standing up in front of your peers, talking, answering questions, it's not an easy thing to do. So thank you very much to you all. A couple of things going forward. Please remember to vote, first of all. I will put the link in the chat again. Please do vote. Where's the chat? There's the chat. Please do vote. It's through the Guild website. That's not meant to happen yet. Voting is open until the 31st of March at 6 p.m. Following that, we will then get the results afterwards and be able to kind of work that out. And we're going to make the announcement of the results on the 7th of April at 6 p.m. on our social media channels, and we'll also send out an email as well. Handover for those of you committee members who do win will be in early June. The current committee will be taking things on till then, and then following the handover, there'll kind of be a transition period where we start to work together and start to kind of make sure everyone is up to speed with the workings of the society. For the vacant positions, as I said at the start, there is an EGM will be held. Details to follow, and this will definitely include unit training lead and fundraising lead, because we didn't have anyone run for them. The final thing to say is just note quickly about the Guild's election system. The Guild's election system works by a single transferable vote, which means that you rank candidates in order of preference. So your first choice candidate is 1, second choice is 2, and so on and so forth. And the important bit to that is that if any of you have voted in the Guild elections, you will know that there is another candidate for every election, which is Ron, or reopen nominations. So if you would don't wish the person who ran for it to be appointed, you can vote for Ron, rank Ron as your preference, and that kind of indicates that you would like us to reopen the post in an EGM. I would hope that, you know, the candidates tonight, all of them have been really great. So, but that option is there, and I do need to explain it as well. Okay, and just a little plug as well. We've got Stash. It's really cool. I need to actually buy it because I've forgotten about it, but I really want one of those pixel art t-shirts. They're really cool designs from Beth and Jay. So thank you very much for designing them. And also there's a beanie available on the website as well, mainly because Aaron wouldn't stop bugging me about it until we did it. And every T-shirt sold, there's a £2 donation to St John Ambulance that goes along with that. So yeah, it does a little bit of kind of fundraising and charitable good as we go. And that is the end of our AGM. So it is 19:57, what we call an end to the EGM, and I will stop the recording.